we really don't want to see this person going into an area with a lot of pedestrians, and unfortunately, that looks to be where we're headed right now.
And if he heads into Belmont Shore, we know the roads there are a little bit more narrow.
That's right.
There are lots of homes that are on top of each other, small little homes there in the Belmont Shore area near the water. And again, that strip
he's losing it again.
He's losing it again, Des.
Wow, it nearly fishtailed again. You know, when you jerk the wheel like that with a vehicle like this is obviously not a sports car.
Exactly.
Right.
And back onto the wrong side, just barreling through to avoid that traffic. Now over onto the right-hand shoulder. It's just, how many chances can you take? Wow, really just grinding up against the wall right there. Somehow squeezing through next to that box truck. And, you know, look, that's a bike lane right there. You just plowed right through that bike lane. If there would have been a cyclist.
Oh, my goodness.
We're going up on the center divider again.
Yeah.
Up again. Yeah. Boy, just muscling through. No.
There we go.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
All kinds of property damage. Just pushing these vehicles out of the way. How is CHP going to respond to this? This is one of the crazier pursuits we've seen in a long time.
Wow.
I don't know if this person is on drugs or what, but yeah, how much more can this car take? Everyone's just got to get out of this guy's way. What is this lunatic thinking right now?
I'm wondering the same thing. At what point are they going to put this to a stop? He's getting crazier and more aggressive and just doesn't care.
He hit 5 or 6 cars there in that one intersection and just moments ago.
Oh, my goodness. My heart is pounding because I'm afraid somebody innocent is going to get hurt in all this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, I don't even know if the authorities are going to, you know, again, is it worth it now? They've got to wonder. I mean, is it, there's not any units behind this guy at the moment. So now we're kind of in that situation, I think, too, what I was talking about earlier. Now that we're on surface streets, is CHP even going to be interested in this as we're on the wrong side of the road?
Right.
I hear other helicopters talking. Oh,
jeez. Oh, my God.
Right in the middle now. Everyone having to. That's just so terrifying. Hitting another.
No.
I think he must have hit 6 or 7 cars at this point. Just plowing right into that. That Toyota 4Runner. Oh, no. What?
This is nuts.
Such great old vehicles. I really hope that person is okay. That might have just totaled. I mean, we may have totaled several vehicles, untold property damage now at this point, possibly some minor injuries. So here we go. They were getting into the Belmont Shore area. 2 more cars slamming. How much more? I wish that the tires would just give up. I don't know how this truck is
And that's what I'm wondering.
Continuing.
That tire, it's still in place. And I think I've lost count. How many cars
lost count.
No, my God. More. This has got to be the end of it. This plow is stopping.
No.
At least he didn't go through that Sherwin-Williams paint store. Oh, my God. It is over. I probably hit a dozen vehicles and out and just acting like, whatever. Not even a big deal. Look at this. Almost looks like he's proud. Almost this just strutting along
Strutting away.
Almost with a sense of pride.
Not even looking back,
So we're
though.
at 7th and Miramar. Just unreal. Absolutely unreal. We'll stick with the suspect for now. The air traffic is going to try to guide some people in. They have got to get this suspect in handcuffs. Some of the most audacious behavior I've ever seen is we're going to speed ahead here to get around this building. I just cannot believe what I have seen. One of the most insane pursuits of all time. And for a suspect to just, first of all, I can't even believe that they're okay. But then just get out here and act like I'm just out walking around on a gorgeous Friday, like
nothing
almost
happened.
like a sense of pride.
Right.
Just absolutely disgusting.
And my fear at this point, he's going to jump into another car or carjack somebody at this point.
Exactly.
What's the point, right? At this level of gameplay here, this is just terrible.
Des, I'm so curious. Are there any ground units you see from above, anywhere close by?
I don't at the moment. We're just kind of trying to get an ID on, and but look, I mean, the helicopter's there. They're definitely trying to guide some units in. I'm sure the tactical flight officers trying to get any law enforcement in that they can. If there's even any, there may not be any more LAPD officers here. They may need to just, here we go.
This
is going to be LAPD now. Now they're going to get this guy and slam him onto the ground, slam him against that vehicle, get him down on the ground, suplexed him right there. Almost like a WWF move to get this suspect into custody. after that just absolutely audacious pursuit.
What happened to that
and,
officer? Look
they
at
are
this officer.
swarming this guy.
This officer that's crawling
Oh.
away. I
Did he
hope
get
he's
hit?
okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's
he might
clutching
have.
his
Yeah, I
face.
mean, he might have gotten elbowed or something in the nose. Yeah, I mean, the suspect resisting. We'll see if we can get this van out of the way and just move to the east slightly. But they've got tasers out there. They've got less lethal. This suspect could be totally out of their mind on some kind of substance right now.
I think he
I
is.
just feel like
Yeah.
for the kind of behavior that we saw, the kind of driving, and then to the attitude to get out like that and walk away. I mean, obviously out of their mind one way or another, if they're under the influence or what. And you see just how many officers it's taking to subdue this guy.
That's what
I mean,
makes
you've got
me think
half
he's
a dozen
under the
officers out
influence.
there.
Yeah, he's got to be under the
Yeah.
influence of something because he has like superhuman strength right now. It's taking that
Yeah.
many officers to subdue him and got one officer in the face.
And I'm watching our replay right
Yeah.
now, Desmond. The amount of cars left in his wake is just unbelievable. I have lost count. So many cars at different intersections.
Wow.
Sideswiped or plowed. Here's the final end to this pursuit when the driver hits and T-bones another car and then ends up in front of that Sherman-Williams paint store. And then seconds later, we see him open the door and we're watching the replay again. How calmly, Rachel, he walked away.
Juan, I think this was the most shocking point of this entire pursuit. In addition to hitting all those vehicles, those innocent drivers,
The walk
for him
away.
to just casually stroll away as if nothing's happening. I mean, clearly, there were air units overhead, so it's not like he didn't see them above. He knows he's being watched.
Desmond, are they still trying to get the cuffs on him?
They're definitely restraining him. I mean, they might have to put like a spit bag on him or something like that to, you know, or I don't know. If you're dealing with someone who's just acting so savage,
Yeah.
if you know, if they might maybe trying to bite the officers or something, I'd really love to know what happened. I think that one officer might have gotten an elbow to the nose or something.
Yes.
Could have, you know, definitely stunned
Hope he's
them.
all right.
Yes,
But
he
they're
clutched his
checking him
face.
now for weapons and yeah, you know, there are definitely substances out there, like you said, Rachel, that can give people superhuman strength, and we have, you know, seen it before, and it seems to kind of go hand in hand with the really kind of insane pursuits like we just saw right now. So they're emptying his pockets and seeing what all is in there. Looks like he has a lot of stuff in his pockets. It looks like they're restraining his legs right there. If they're using like a strap or something to tie his legs. And yeah,
5
he's
officers
bloodied
to
up a
do
little
all this,
bit, but-
Desmond.
At
least 5.
half a dozen officers for all of this. So we just want to see this suspect kind of going to have to get picked up here to be put in the back of a cruiser, or it may even actually be put in the back of an ambulance at some point. We want to go and look at the ending of that scene, but I'm just replaying the ending in my head. I know, you know, at the very least that truck didn't plow into that paint store.
Yeah.
You know, there was a wall right there, and it stopped the vehicle. We could have, this as horrific as this was, we could have had, you know, serious casualties if there were people inside of that paint store. So, you know, but an amazing amount of property damage. So many innocent people involved in this. Could have had some, you know, fairly serious injuries there as well. The very end of that, right in the critical moment at the end. But at least it's over, and wow.
Des, you know, he certainly hit a countless number of cars, but at the end, there was one particularly violent collision at that intersection. I can't imagine those people walking away without serious injury. I'm very concerned about the people who were hit.
Absolutely here. We'll probably need to reposition. That scene might be right below us right now. I do kind of want to see if we have ambulance. Okay, here we go. Let's just zoom in here. So here is where it all came to an end, where we had these other cars. Yeah, I mean, boy, this was actually pretty serious right here. So we've got probably Long Beach Fire that has moved in here, and you can see just how
Look at the
whole
damage
side
on
of
that
vehicle,
truck.
Yeah, really serious there. I'm not sure if someone is trapped inside, or we'll see if we can reposition the car. There might be someone pinned in that vehicle, and then this van that was involved as well. Pretty bad, but not as serious.
Yeah.
But, you know, this is a transport. There's a kid
that
right
car,
there.
the
There's a
small
couple of
white
kids
car.
where this, you know, I mean, maybe this could have been some kids coming from after school or something, or
Absolutely.
a van pull or something like that. And then the truck that hit this planter, and, you know, if it would have been just a few inches to the left, it could have gone right up the stairs and right into that at, you know, 30, 40 miles an hour. If there were people out there picking out, you know, paint for a weekend project or something, just absolutely shocking, beyond words what we saw. So there's the end of that scene, and we can come back to it, but just want to come back and check out the suspect here and still see what the deal is here as they're restraining them.
Yeah, I appreciate that vantage
God,
point.
there were so many crash sites in this. You know, there was that, but there was another one there, with a late model 4Runner that got really messed up. There was so many crash scenes on this. I mean, probably a dozen or so vehicles. A lot of people going to have some, you know, horrible insurance claims to have to deal with.
Oh, terrible.
I can't
all
imagine.
all because of, you know, one totally insane driver here. One of the craziest pursuits of all time.
I agree,
no doubt about
Des.
it.
And I thank you for minutes earlier showing the side of the crash. I'm wondering if that driver, you saw the firefighters trying to open the door and kind of gauge whether the driver is able to be extricated. I'm wondering if not, they'll have to use the jaws of life.
And there was another smaller car too, Rachel. There was one that looked like an SUV, a truck, and there was a smaller white one too that was hit that looked pretty bad. Desmond, if you could show us that intersection again, that'd be great just to see, because when we saw the replay.
Push to the left here, Chris.
When we saw the replay, Desmond, we saw the larger truck right there at the intersection, and then this smaller car. Look at the amount of damage there.
Or maybe north.
And it looks like putting a neck brace on somebody there, Rachel.
So good. Doesn't look like they need the jaws of life at this point. You see them trying to put a neck brace on the driver. I have no words. This has been, from the beginning, Des, you know, it started out pretty slow and steady. Moments we saw erratic driving, erratic behavior.
Yep, that's right.
Then it just escalated from there. I just can't imagine the people who've been affected by this. Of course, the people who are hurt as a result of this man's behavior. Looks like they're getting a stretcher out for this victim right here.
And thank goodness that fire rescue was nearby. They're tending to this person, this driver's injuries. And just look at the damage to the car. The front passenger side tire is just on its side there. So much damage. The windshield is just destroyed. So the impact had to have been super strong there when that car plowed through that intersection there. And now they're taking care of this driver who on a Friday night, Friday afternoon rather, is probably just trying to make their way home. And so many cars that came in contact with this driver. Just, I cannot remember a pursuit as crazy as this one here in Southern California.
Same.
As
Wanted
of late.
for a stolen work truck out of South Los Angeles. Went all across the Southland, ending here. Des, you know, he traversed a large area, South LA. You said he drove through Commerce, was on the 605, headed to the San Gabriel Valley, circled back around, was on Whittier Boulevard for a while, then got onto the 405 to the 22.
That's right.
He was all over the place.
And he was heading into Belmont Shore, Desmond,
place,
so things could have been as terrible as this is. It could have been a lot worse too.
Yeah, it's hard to even say that, but it is true, and because this was so bad. But we were, you know, very close to an area with a ton of restaurants, a very pedestrian-friendly area. As we're seeing this person being taken out, it looks like it may be an elderly person. Yeah, you really hate to see this. I mean, it's just gut-wrenching. But you know, hopefully they're going to be okay. But you know, now at the very least, their weekend is ruined, and you can see they are definitely in some pain right here as they're being put on the stretcher. And it just happened so fast. You know, you're out here thinking about your weekend plans, and then it's like, what happened? You don't even have time to process what just happened with this, you know, missile of a truck flying through like it did. But I knew when we made that turn onto the westbound 22, I was really concerned with getting back into a cross-traffic situation, and you can definitely see why as we'll watch this person be transported here by Long Beach Fire to one of the nearby hospitals, maybe the one just a couple of miles to the west here off of Atlantic Boulevard, most likely. But just galling, just beyond words. There are just almost no adjectives to describe the complete lunacy that we saw from that suspect, all of the damage. And we just widen back out because, you know, we had so many different crash scenes, and just want to see if we had any back in here. I know we had that Forerunner may have been a ways back. Just seeing if there was any others, and it's just
does. I mean, the trail of destruction goes back so far.
Yeah.
I mean, it's everywhere. It's hard to really pinpoint exactly where he was going. I don't think he had a direction. He was just going to drive away as fast as possible, try to get away from.
And if you got in his way, he was going to push right by you.
Right.
And I was watching the replay again. I think I counted at least 10 cars that he hit. 10 cars before finally crashing into that Sherman-Williams paint store. And now we're looking at him there. He's apparently subdued. He is handcuffed. Officers have finally, obviously, as you said, Desmond checked his pockets. I guess they're getting his name there possibly, and some vital information from him there. But what happened here? You know, this is just unbelievable.
I mean, and he just kind of wiggles his foot the whole time. He's just been sitting there kind of doesn't seem to understand. I don't think the gravity of the situation. Just seems to be very blasé about everything. You know, as we take a look at some videotape from earlier, you see on the right side of your screen, just the very last moments before he came to a crashing end. Just the trail of destruction, going through intersections, plowing through cars.
That's 4 and 5 right there.
Driving on the median, heading into opposing traffic. No regard for anyone else's
6,
safety.
7.
Look at this.
Here we go. This is the 7th car he hit.
I mean, look at this guy.
And then 8, 9.
And that was the big one before he
10.
ended up crashing into the planter right there. And thank goodness that he came to a stop there, because he certainly could have gone through that Sherwin-Williams paint store.
Oh, my goodness.
And God forbid, there were people in that store at the time.
And that impact made him lose control enough that he didn't stay on the main drag there, because he would have kept going,
That's right.
This truck obviously has a lot of power. It's very heavy. We saw how it moved cars right out of traffic, right? So that wouldn't have been a problem. And here it is. It wasn't until that car lost control, the driver lost control, and crashed in that paint store that things came to an end.
It's truly mind-boggling, Juan. You know, we saw that heavy work truck fishtailing as he was speeding down the roads and freeways with that wobbly wheel still hanging on, and that wheel never came off. He had no regard, did not care.
And when they finally took him down, we saw one officer crawl away. Obviously, he was either hit in the face, something happened to him where he was injured as well. So the amount of charges that are going to be added on to this guy's case, very serious. I'm guessing there is no getting out of jail this time around.
I would hope not.
And you've got the auto theft, you've got the hit. How many hit and runs here? 10?
Felony hit and runs.
Felony hit and runs, at least 10.
Dozen, yeah.
And injuring people. We saw the elderly man just get taken away on a stretcher.
Yeah.
We don't know what's happened to this driver here. Maybe it's that person who's standing there on the curb, but just trying to sort all this out with police. Look at the damage on that car right there.
It is totaled. And I'm grateful to see that the driver was conscious when they pulled him out of the car and took him onto the stretcher into an ambulance. Now, I believe, Juan, that's probably the driver of that van standing outside, right?
Yeah, the white truck.
Which tells me, fortunately, maybe there was no one else inside, right? Because if that van had been full of people, can you imagine the injuries that may have been possible here? But yeah, I mean, you just look at on the right side of your screen, the path that this suspect took, driving this heavy work truck through crowded freeways, crowded streets, with no regard for public safety. And this is always the challenge, right?
Yep.
You have a suspect like this who is so dangerous, but police have to weigh, is it worth continuing to pursue this person? I mean, in this case, that choice was pretty clear. The choice was clear, and once things got more and more violent, they had to follow through and see this come to an end, which we did, thankfully. But I mean, just the amount of damage, the amount just not caring for the motoring public, for anybody who was out there as well, and just this replay is just unbelievable. There he is again. So on the left-hand side of your screen is the live shot Des is showing us from above the last point of impact where the suspect unfortunately just demolished this car and another van to the right. We saw moments ago the driver of this car being pulled out, an elderly man. They put a neck brace on him, put him onto the stretcher. He seemed to be alert and talking, but obviously in a lot of pain. We see a person kind of on the sidewalk over there next to the van, or you're thinking it's the driver of that van. Good thing is that person's walking around, doesn't seem to be too badly injured, and not too far from where we see the van and the fire engine there. The suspect crashed his car.
And what about these other people that we're seeing here in the instant replay on the right side of your screen? I'm guessing officers have to make it to them to check with them to make sure they're okay.
Sure.
Because there could be some injuries there. There could have been children in the car, as you said, seniors in the car who for some reason or another maybe didn't have their seatbelt there. And again, that violent end to this high-speed pursuit of a stolen truck, which you saw unfold here on KCAL News. Just unbelievable. The suspect eventually being taken down. And Desmond, is this the same senior that we saw, or is this somebody else?
Well, I'm seeing if this is if they're taking the suspect away to the hospital, possibly. Let's see here as we. No, this is someone else. This is. I'm not sure who this is right here. This is on the same street though.
He has different
you know
pants
what?
on.
I wonder if this is the officer. I wonder if this is the officer that we saw who may have gotten like elbowed in the face or something.
You're right, Des.
And they took his. I believe that's who that is.
Yes.
Okay, so. Yeah, the officer who was one of the first to respond to that suspect when they were, when it looked like fists were flying and stuff. I was just seeing if they have the suspect now I think probably in the back of. Oh no, he's still up here. Okay, so he's actually being evaluated by Long Beach Fire now as well. So
they're cutting off his shirt. Yep.
Check him over.
All right.
And so taking his
I want to welcome our viewers right now, our KCAL News viewers. This is KCAL News at 4 o'clock. I'm Juan Fernandez, along with Rachel Kim and Desmond Shaw up in SkyCal, covering a wild stolen truck pursuit that came to a violent end just a short time ago.
Yeah, we've been covering this breaking news since about 3:30. This started in South LA. A stolen truck suspect who apparently stole a work truck out of the LAPD's 77th Division area was pursued. Initially, it didn't seem to be
there was a following at
very
first,
intense.
right?
It was they were just tracking him, following him, seeing where he was going. But once he started clipping cars, driving onto medians, heading into opposing traffic, his behavior got more aggressive and very dangerous. And you see the result right here on the left side of your screen. On the right side of your screen, you're seeing video of what we were following during this entire pursuit. This suspect just recklessly, without any regard for public safety, continuing trying to elude authorities, whether it was on the freeway, the 605, on Whittier Boulevard, back onto the 405, the 22, ended up heading towards Belmont Shore right before this all came to an end. But along the way, creating a trail of destruction, Juan.
And the amount of people that he left in his wake, cars smashed, victims who were injured because of the intensity of this pursuit here and the crashes that followed. On the left side of your screen, you're seeing again, this is the end of the pursuit, and it looks like, Rachel, this is where a lot of people are starting to gather. You can see just the debris field in the street there, quite intense. He hit two cars before coming to an end here at the Sherman-Williams paint store there.
This just happens to be the most serious of the impacts, but along the way, he hit many, many more. I can't even count how many felony hit and runs he faces at this point because we simply lost count as to how many cars he hit along the way. Truly no words to describe what we've witnessed for the past 30 minutes. The suspect just recklessly going through streets. You see him right there without a care in the world, just driving over a median. And
this is when things start going crazy right here.
Here he is.
Hitting three cars in the intersection. He must have sideswiped two others. Look at that dark car there, how it just was pushed to the side. And the driver just kept going and going, like you said, Rachel, with no regard to anyone. Some drivers here were lucky to be able to get away and get out of this driver's way, but that one white car right there you saw could not. And here we go. He just slams into three other cars here before finally coming to a stop after this next impact that you're going to see here. A very dangerous one that unfolded just before this
Unbelievable.
pursuit came to an end.
And all along the way there, you see the
Yeah.
biggest impact right before he crashed his vehicle into the planter in front of the paint store there. All along, from the very beginning, when we first started following this, the suspect had a wobbly right rear tire. Jez and I were thinking at some point that tire is going to give and fall off, and hopefully this will all come to an end. But for some reason, despite how fast he was going, that wheel stayed on, and he continued to fishtail this. And keep in mind, this is a heavy work truck.
Yeah.
I mean, think about if he lost control, how many more people could have been hit? But regardless, he just kept going without a care in the world and ended up hurting possibly that elderly man we saw at the end who had a neck brace put on his neck. On the right side of your screen there, Juan, we see that this suspect, it took minimum six officers to take this guy down. We saw just him able to fight them off with superhuman strength, as I call it, which leads us to maybe guess that he was under the influence.
I'm guessing he was. And, you know, that was possibly the most chilling aspect of seeing this was the driver of that stolen car get out of it and just walk nonchalantly down the sidewalk. In fact, for quite a while, he didn't even look back to see if he had hurt somebody or injured somebody. He kept walking into a neighborhood with absolutely no direction. And luckily, there were officers nearby, but it took an incredible amount of officers to get this person you know, in handcuffs.
Yeah.
It looked like a tall person to me, a tall man.
It was a very tall man.
Yeah.
And you know, when the first officer arrived, tried to tackle him, that officer, the suspect fell on him and I think got hit in the face.
Yes.
And we saw him being treated on the scene as well. So hopefully he is not too seriously injured. But of course, I think the biggest concern that, you know, we have is for that elderly man who was hit the hardest right at the end.
And that's someone that we saw and that we know about. There may be others that we have no clue.
Absolutely.
Desmond, what are you seeing from up in your vantage point right now? What's going on?